I find it hard to say the things I want to say the most. Find a little bit of steady as I get close. Find a balance in the middle of the chaos. Send me up, send me down, send me never. Epidemic. I remember walking in the cold of November, hoping that I make it to the end of December. 27 years at the end of my mind, but holding to the thought of another time. But looking for the ways of the ones before me, looking for the path of the young and lonely. I don't want to hear about what to do. No, I don't want to do it just to do it for you. Hello, hello, let me tell you what it's like to be zero. Let me show you what it's like to never feel. Nothing good enough, anything that's real. I'm looking for a way out. Hello, hello, let me tell you what it's like to be zero. Let me show you what it's like to never feel. Like I'm good enough, anything that's real. I'm looking for a way out.
Welcome to Pop Culture Catechism. Today we have singer-songwriter and Percoustix inventor David McHugh with us to talk about Imagine Dragons. Let's go. Welcome to Pop Culture Catechism. Conversations about music, movies, and the longings of the human heart. Let's get started. How do I deal with the suffering and pain I experience in my life? Am I defined more by myself and my own choices, or by other people, their expectations, by society, by my parents? What makes those choices? How much control do I really have over my own life? We're going to cover those topics and much more as we dive into the lyrics and music of Las Vegas band Imagine Dragons today. I am Mike Tenney. This is Pop Culture Catechism. I am your host. I am a Catholic speaker and worship leader, a father and a husband. I spent over a decade teaching Catholic high school theology and also trying to make it as a rock star at night, playing music and writing songs. And I love talking about pop culture and having deep conversations about life, the universe, and everything with awesome people like David McHugh. But before we get started, I've got to tell you about popculturecatechism.com. It's our new website. We're no longer just on the AWAKEN Catholic site anymore. We have our own web domain, and you can go there right now, and you can join our patron community called the Pop Culture Catechist. Now, these are people that patronize this show by giving a monthly donation, tax-deductible donation, because AWAKEN Catholic is a nonprofit. And you can pick a tier 1 through 6, whatever fits your budget and your tithe. And there are perks that go along with each level, but everyone who is a patron gets access to the Pop Culture Catechist community in the AWAKEN app, where we can have discussions about the show, and you can talk to me, and we can chit-chat about whatever you want. But also there is exclusive content for each and every episode in Season 2. So if you're a patron, after you're done listening to this episode or watching this episode, go to the AWAKEN app in the Pop Culture Catechist section, and you will have the full content of this episode there. And if you're not a patron yet, I really encourage you to consider helping us financially. Every little bit helps you or keep the studio running with the lights and the cameras and the staff. All of that can't happen without your help. So thank you for those of you who are already giving. And if you're thinking about it, I really encourage you to help us out. You can also go to YouTube and subscribe to Pop Culture Catechism with Mike Tenney. We're no longer publishing videos just on the AWAKEN Catholic YouTube channel. We now have our own YouTube channel. So if you're somebody who likes to subscribe to things on YouTube, go subscribe, hit the bell. So then anytime you go to YouTube, it'll suggest our videos and you won't miss a video. If you listen on podcasts, you don't need to change a thing that you're doing. We already have our own feeds there. So if you're subscribed, things will come back up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and you can leave us a rating while you're there. A 5-star rating, a review, all of that helps us. And more than anything else, just word of mouth. Just if you think this episode, it would be good for someone you know to hear, if it made you think of somebody, take a screenshot, send it to them, send them a text, say, hey, I think you would really like this episode. One last thing, and then we'll start. This episode was recorded just before Easter 2021, but we decided to save it and start off Season 2 with it. Enjoy the show. Well, let's get into it. I'm so excited. David, we've never met in real life, but I've been following you online. You and your wife, Noelle, do some awesome ministry. You work within the pro-life movement. You've done some youth ministry. You guys are awesome musicians. Tell me about yourself. Tell me more about you and what you do and who you are.
Yeah, well, I gotta say I love you too, man. And I've been, I saw your Instagram page or whatever, and I read the bio. Like, it's like wannabe rock star, and it's like, this guy gets me. I think we both had that dream, and yeah. But what's it called? Yeah, just we're in Oklahoma City right now, working in Respect Life Ministry.
Nice.
And we got our 6 kids, and so that always adds to the excitement of things. And yeah, just we share the same job, which is weird, working with your wife. Because we don't talk, because we're married, and so communication is always difficult. But yeah, and then just Percoustix is kind of a side hustle, but someday we hope to make it a full-time hustle.
Yeah, so tell me about Percoustix, because you were playing it, you were demoing it at the beginning, and I'm sure some people, especially if they're just listening and not watching the video version of this, it sounds like you got a full band going on there. So tell the people who can't see what you're doing what's going on. Explain what Percoustix is.
Yeah, and I didn't even activate the cymbals, Mike. I could have brought in cymbals, so we've been like,
nice.
but yeah, no, it came out of just playing percussive guitar on the guitar. Started playing that style in maybe like early 2000, and I quickly realized, like, as a drummer and a guitar player, I want to play drums on this thing, but it doesn't sound like any kind of real drum sound, like a good drum sound. It just doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And so that just led on the journey. And I think you can't really, it doesn't translate well on what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Like this digital platform, social media thing, because what I find is people see it on their phone or on their device, and immediately the mind tries to fill in, like, how is this happening, the thing that I'm hearing? And there's so much technology out there these days that allows you to get the same sound, drums and guitar at the same time, with backing tracks or loopers. That's what people think. But when you play it live, like I was just at this bar the other day on Wednesday night, and it's this magical confusion that happens. Like, people like, okay, he's playing drums on his guitar, but how is that happening? And basically, the invention is they're called Percoustix, but if you had to, like, get into the nature of Percoustix, like, what is Percoustix? I would describe it as, like, take drum triggers and the idea of pick guards and just, like, meld them together into one. So we call them, like, kind of drum trigger pick guards. That's what it is. And so it runs through my guitar. These two pick guards here run through my guitar, the wire, and you just install that like you would a normal guitar jack, and basically you run the wire out to any drum module out there, to any electronic drum set. And they just come in all shapes and sizes these days for electronic drums.
Nice.
And that's it. Like, it's super easy, super simple, but effective in. Suddenly now your guitar is this new instrument when you have it on your guitar.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are used to seeing, like, Ed Sheeran. He does the looping and he hits on his guitar a lot. And I've done that too on my acoustic, and I'm trying to find the place where I hit and it sounds like a kick drum, or the place I hit and it sounds like a snare, or the place I hit and it sounds like a hi-hat. So what you've done is the pick guard, which is just normally something to protect the guitar from your pick hitting it. You've actually turned that into, like, a little drum pad, a little drum trigger that then electronically triggers a sound, right? So, and you can make it any sound.
You can get anything you want. You could get a sound bite from Bishop Fulton Sheen and have him, start talking every time you click that, and it's right there by the strings. You don't have to, like, hunt over the guitar. Here's my bass drum, or whatever. You can get that right here.
So what sounds do you have on it right now? What's the top one?
So right now, what I usually do, and this is my style, and the setup that we have it right now with these pick guards. But right now, I have the top pad as my bass drum,
cool,
and the bottom one as my snare.
Nice.
But
then when you hit the strings, it's kind of like the hi-hat, sort of.
Well, actually,
that's when I've done Percoustix stuff. That's how I've done it. But yeah.
What I do personally with Percoustix is I like to assign 2 sounds to my top pad.
Oh, cool.
So wait a minute. So this is a closed hi-hat and the bass drum.
Oh, cool.
And I have the hi-hat set up so that it's running to a tap tempo slap back delay.
So it's got a delay on it. That's cool.
So watch this. So and then I can open the hi-hat and be like this. So I can be like,
wow, that's awesome.
close the hi-hat.
That's cool.
And I can change that tempo of the hi-hat just by, tap tempo.
That's awesome. So for those of you just listening, like that's just 2 little pads on his guitar, get all that sound, all that music. So if you are an acoustic guitarist and you play percussive style guitar, you do a lot of looping, I would definitely look into Percoustix. Is that just percoustix.com?
Percoustix.com.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, man. Sometime we got to get together in real life, and I would love to jam.
I know.
That'd be amazing. But let's get into Imagine Dragons. So, Imagine Dragons is a rock band from Las Vegas, Nevada. If you've never heard any songs by them, probably the one song you would have heard is Radioactive. It is actually the longest charting single on the Billboard Top 100. And they are the band with the most weeks on the Billboard Top 100. They have 4 albums: Night Visions from 2012, Smoke and Mirrors from 2015, Evolve from 2017, Origins from 2018, and they just put out 2 new singles, which is in like April 2021, which was super convenient for when we were recording this. We'd already decided. So their members are Dan Reynolds, Wayne Sermon, Ben McHugh, and Daniel Platzman. They've won a Grammy Award, 3 American Music Awards, and 10 Billboard Music Awards. So yeah, they won the Grammy in 2014 for Radioactive Best Rock Performance. So David, just tell me artistically, what do you love about Imagine Dragons? What is it about their music and their artistry?
Yeah, the first I gotta give a little pass. Like the first time I heard Imagine Dragons when I was a youth minister, and I was at the age like I don't know if you've reached this age, Mike, yet, where it's like you reach the age where you're not cool and you don't care about what's out there today.
I reached the not cool part a long time ago.
Good. Yeah, now that we've got that out of the way. Yeah, so I was a youth minister, and the last big music scene that I was into was like the post-hardcore, stuff. Like I was in a post-hardcore rock band in college in Franciscan. And when I became a youth minister, it was like, yeah, dubstep was kind of like I was hearing dubstep for the first time, and the first song that I heard by Imagine Dragons was Radioactive.
Yeah, it's definitely has some of that flavor.
Yes. It's got the wobbles, whatever. And I thought like, okay, this isn't EDM or like, dubstep. This is kind of like a rock band sort of thing. And I loved it, because it's like the wobbles of the dubstep wobbles, blah, 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 that's super heavy sounding.
Yeah.
And it works well with rock.
Yeah, it does.
So I digged it. I love the guy's voice. Like it's got that edge, of rock, like that raspy growl kind of like at times, but then he cleans up. And even when he cleans up, it's just as powerful.
Yeah.
I loved and appreciated all that. And then finally, checked them out, bought their albums or downloaded their albums. Nobody buys albums these days.
I still buy albums.
But all right, you do, yes. Yeah, so it was a good impression. And I think they're the first band that I've actually bought all their albums in that time of my life of being uncool. Like when I reached the uncool stage, I just stopped. Like, it's like this is my music that I like, and here's my prune juice and my oatmeal, and this is what I do. I'm set in my ways. But Imagine Dragons was kind of like the only band at the time, around that 2013 kind of time, that I was, I like their albums. Let's see, and whatever. I'm looking into their stuff.
Nice. Yeah. He does have such a range. He can be really high and sound like, sometimes it kind of bugs me a little. He's like a little bit too shouty maybe, but he can hit some really high notes. But then like others of their stuff is like real folksy, kind of like On Top of the World. It's Time even. It kind of almost sounds like Mumford & Sons-ish a little bit. But then there's other stuff that sounds like more is more screaming and shouty. And I think the common element between how they do both of those is it's very rhythm heavy. Like the bass and the drums, and even the way he structures the lyrics. It's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about them. His voice is a little shouty for me sometimes. I don't always like his voice, but he's got power behind it. There's no doubt. Definitely communicates very well.
Some guys can pull that off, and I think like switching between clean and shouty, and I think he does it. Like you know, when he goes back to clean, it's like he didn't blow his voice out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's similar in some ways to Chester from Linkin Park. We did an episode on Linkin Park, but similar sort of thing. So, anything else about their artistry that you like, that you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, there's I was listening to Imagine Dragons on this road trip, and Noelle, my wife, was like, you know, telling me the coordinates or the street to plug in on the GPS, and she was like, it's Cypress Mill Road, and so I started, but I didn't realize she was telling me the coordinates, so I typed in Cypress into Apple Music and started listening to Cypress Hill, and their song Rockstar came on, and in the lyrics there, they start talking about, you know, what it means to be a sellout, and they use the word chameleon, like you just sound like everybody around you. That's what Cypress Hill kind of like defined as sellout, like you're this chameleon. And if you listen to Imagine Dragons, there's like no song that is like another song, you know, on their stuff. It's like all different sounding drums, you know, for every song, especially like their later albums, like maybe the first album, you know, like, okay, you can hear the guitar, you can hear the same kind of drum set, you can hear that bass, and maybe Radioactive was the most different sounding song on the album, but it's like you listen to their stuff and it's different every single song. And I don't think that word chameleon like, you know, fits them. Oh, they're just sellouts. They'll just do, you know, whatever's popular at the day. I don't think that applies to them, but
they're not following a trend necessarily.
Right. Now, I think what they're more like is not chameleon, but you know, remember Star Trek Next Generation, the Borg?
The Borg. They like
I think that they assimilate like what they like. You know, it's like if they like your sound, or not your sound, like if they like this style of music,
it's gonna get incorporated.
Dude, we're gonna do that in Imagine Dragons, and they just pull it off well. Like it's like cool. I don't feel like they're copying somebody. I feel like it's still Imagine Dragons, but they've assimilated that style and made it their own.
Yeah, that's cool. And you've said you've seen them live, yeah? Or you've watched some of their live stuff?
I watch a lot of live shows on YouTube. Like that's what I'll do on YouTube. It's like, what do these guys sound like live? But no, I haven't seen. I've got 6 kids. My
live shows. Well, tell me. Well, I've not looked at much of their live stuff. So tell me a little bit about, because we were talking before we started recording a little bit about, you were talking about their live show. Just tell me some of your thoughts on them live, if you will.
All right, so I love Imagine Dragons. My daughter loves Imagine Dragons, but you know, like I love all their stuff. Like I own all their albums. But then like when I saw them on YouTube live, you know, what is their live show like? I was pretty disappointed. Because it's like they don't sound the same live, and that's okay. Like that's usually a good thing. It's like, well, no, live music is completely different than the studio. But like, I guess what I mean by that is when you listen to their studio album, you hear like all these crazy sounds. You hear like all these different sounding drum sets, you know, whatever. And then when you hear the live show, it's completely different. Like suddenly, like I can take a song like oh gosh, what was the song that any song from their later albums, you don't really hear a lot of guitar. And then suddenly when you hear them live play the same song, now I can hear, you know, the guitarist guitar just shining through, and I'm hearing all this. And then the same thing with the drummer. It's like you've got all these crazy like electronic drum sounds on the albums, but then when you hear the same song live, it's like that trap set, you know, that big rock, you know, vintage rock set, you know, is on every song. And it's like, now I just don't get you guys. What is your sound? That bugged me. Yeah.
Interesting. You know what band that reminds me of is Maroon 5. Especially their later stuff is like very radio friendly pop. But then you go to their concerts and they are like full on like Led Zeppelin, let's rock, you know? And it's just a very, very different style from the, I think they know it's like, all right, we'll make our pop hits and we'll make our money that way. And then we go on tour, like we're a band again. So maybe there's some of that.
And that was new for me. I wasn't expecting that, you know, with Imagine Dragons, that feel.
Well, if you don't know what they look like, let's put a picture of Imagine Dragons up there. And their album covers, I love their album covers. I don't know if you ever played the video game Destiny, but all their album covers look like Destiny landscapes to me. If you ever played that game.
Yeah, so I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Dan, their lead singer, and there they are. And the first song I want to talk about is, again, probably their most famous song, Radioactive. I was trying to figure out how to play it before. I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones, enough to make my system low. Welcome to the new age, to the new age, to the new age, to the new age. Whoa, whoa, I'm radioactive, radioactive. So if you've ever heard any of their songs, you probably heard that song. I love that song. It's just, and it works well, just like stripped down acoustic. It works well with the huge dubstep, all the production. It's just, and you know that's what makes a good song, when it can be stripped down or when it can be huge. But I was digging into the lyrics of this song, and I've never really understood it before. And so I was actually like Googling, like, what's the meaning of this song? And there's a quote from the lead singer. He's like, well, really, I wrote this when I was struggling with depression and anxiety, and I felt like I was kind of making some progress and coming out of it. And that's where this song came from. And that made me go like, whoa, that makes me see this song in a new light. So let's go through some of the lyrics and just talk about some of this. So he says, I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow. I sweat my rust. I'm breathing in the chemicals. I'm breaking in, shaping up, checking out of the prison bus. This is the apocalypse. I'm waking up. I feel it in my bones. System's going to blow. Welcome to the new age. I'm radioactive. Like, I don't know have you ever had an experience like that where you feel like you're coming into something new, or do any of these lyrics connect with you or some of your experience?
In my high school days, before I knew Jesus, maybe the chemicals. but yeah, no, I mean the first couple lines there is a beautiful, like, just kind of like even just resurrection motif, like you got the word ash and dust there, rust. That's all like just like he's waking up from that, like you're getting up out of that, you're wiping off the rust or whatever. It's beautiful as far as just like coming out of the tomb, kind of.
When we're recording this, we're in the season of Lent. Probably by the time this releases, it'll be Easter. But that idea that, oh man, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. When you go to Mass on Ash Wednesday, you get the dust on your forehead, and that's like one of the things that the priest says is, I'm waking up to ash and dust. That idea of sweating your rust, like you're sweating out like all the toxins. I think that's such a cool image. Like he's getting out of prison. He's checking out on the prison bus, like he's finally getting off the bus and going out free into the world. So I've never struggled with like. I've like had times where I despaired or times where I was depressed, but I never had like clinical depression where I was and I know people very close to me who have gone through that, and I've helped walk with some people as they're going through that, and going to counseling and and it's something that endures and people live with it for their whole lives. But I also think there are these moments where they have these breakthrough moments, and there can be like one of my good friends, like she had gone through some stuff, and when she finally like dealt with some trauma in her life, she had gone to some counseling, like got her medication right, like figured out some things in her spiritual life, just started making better decisions. It is like a new age, right? You're coming into like this new person, like self-actualization.
Sure.
So I definitely see that in this song. It's a revolution. Breaking in, shaping
and
up.
I like the word when I hadn't heard about the depression thing, but I wonder if the word, and you never want to like look too far deeply into somebody's lyrics, because it's like, dude, that's that guy's brain. You have no idea. You can try to imagine, but
Imagine
yeah, the
Dragons.
word or the phrase.
Yeah.
That jumped in my mind, but I didn't say it. I was like self-control. The fact that you said it, I like that. Yeah.
Good.
What's it called? Like, yeah, the breathing in the chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just there's so much language associated with depression.
Mm-hmm.
The phrase or language, you know, chemicals, that chemistry in your brain, and just the fact that he's breathing in. I think it's less about pollution because he's you know, because he gets out of the ash, he gets out of the dust, you know, whatever, and the first thing he does is he breathes in the chemicals. That aspect of like breathing is like, you know, there's life there, and the chemicals, dude, there's chemicals in our brain. And somehow, like, I don't know, just realizing he's coming into this new age, like, you know, this awakening, AWAKEN Catholic, is like the first thing he does, he's breathes in the chemicals. Maybe it's like he's okay with himself.
Yeah.
You know, he's comfortable with what's going on up here in this, you know, piece of meat that we call our brain.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I feel like there is a certain acceptance in a peace that comes with that acceptance. It's like, you know what, like my friend I was talking about who still struggles with depression, like close friend of mine, like sometimes when she's having a hard time, she gives me a call. Like sometimes I have to remind her, like, it's okay to be sad. And like, so there's going to be days where you are sad, and it's okay to be sad. And like, you have your family, you have your friends, like you have God, we're here for you. Even when you're sad, even when you don't feel like you're at your best, like we love you. And I see a little bit of that in this song, that like, I've accepted this about myself. Like, I'm not always a happy chipper guy. Like I go to a dark place sometimes, and I can accept that about myself. I love this. Did you have any thoughts on that before I move on to a new idea?
No, yeah, move.
Yeah, so this is the idea of being radioactive. Like normally that's an image it's very negative, right? If somebody's radioactive, it's dangerous, right? It kills
Really bad.
people. But here it's positive. Like he's radiant, he's shining, he's like putting this a positive energy out into the world, this, you know, extreme energy that can do so much. And you think about it like a star is radioactive, or the sun is radioactive, and there's like such power in that. Like he feels like he's coming into that's how powerful he feels now that he's stepping forward a little bit. He's checking out of the prison bus. So I like how he takes an image that is normally kind of negative. He could have said, you know, I'm a star, I'm shining like a star, and that would have been very positive. But now he's like, no, I'm radioactive, and it kind of has a little bit of an edge to it. I don't know. I love the way that he described that. I think that's really good lyric writing. So
when you were saying that, yeah, because I've never thought of the song before, like looking at imagery beyond, just not this song. I mean, other songs, but like looking at the radioactive theme. You know, all the words of the song, like beyond what's there, and the way that he's using radioactive is almost like the way that we use we talk about the cross.
Oh, wow.
The cross is like this terrible, horrible instrument of death.
Yeah.
We wear it around our necks, you know, like jewelry, but so it's not a big deal. I got nothing. But radiation we can understand.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about radiation, like you said, you know, it's dangerous, it kills, but at the same time, like you can look at it like in some applications, just natural applications, it kills disease. You know, like a cancer patient, you know, it's this thing that is getting rid of this cancerous disease in you. The cross gets rid of this cancer, you know, in you of sin. And so the way that he's using it here, like it's this part of the song where he's like alive, fully alive, just in the same way, like, you know, that we talk about the cross. It's almost like he's talking about, you know, radiation, radioactive.
Yeah. Wow. You blew my mind right there. So first of all,
yes!
like
I blew your mind.
The cross, first of all, I mean, the cross blows my mind. And I try to never let myself get comfortable with the cross, because it's so easy to just have it be like, you have the star, so you have a star, and then you have the cross. It's just like another shape in, you know, that we teach our children, like, oh, that's a triangle. But like the cross for generations of people in the ancient world was a symbol of terror. It was like, it was like how almost like a noose would be to people today, or an electric chair, or a gun. It was a sign of execution and terror and persecution and tyranny. And that is the sign of our hope, right? We look to the cross and we say that, like, if God can conquer that, if God is right behind my head, like if God can do that, then whatever I'm going through, he's in it too. And he can help me through this. He can help me through this depression. He can help me through this dark place. So I just love what you were saying. And then I didn't even think about it in terms of like, radiation cancer treatment. I have some people that some people in my family right now that are fighting cancer, and my gosh, it's awful. But I love that you took it there, because when they like that radiation treatment, like it attacks the cancer, but it also like hurts you, right? Yeah. And so you come forth, assuming the treatment works or whatever, you come forth stronger and in some ways healed, but not without scars, right? I think that is very true to life. Is, we go through times of darkness, we go through times of depression, and we come out, we are a little radioactive. We've healed and we've made real progress, but we also carry that with us. And I think by uniting all that to the cross is like where the real healing happens, is when we're united to the cross of Christ and saying, Lord, I give this to you. I trust this to you. may not understand this pain, but I give it to you. Like that, that's powerful. I'm going to spend some time thinking about this. You blew my mind.
Dude, this is such a Christian song.
Yeah, it is. I've looked into their spirituality a little bit. I think they grew up Mormon. And then he's kind of rebelled a little bit, which I think you see him rebelling, trying to buck the system a little bit. Cool. I want to get into another song. Are we done with Radioactive? Can we move on?
Yeah. I
want to talk about.
I don't know how we can blow our minds any more than that.
It's okay. We're in the Lord's care, and He will blow our minds if He thinks our minds need to be blown more. So Demons, this is probably one of their other more famous songs. I was trying to figure this out before. When the days are cold and the nights cards all fold, and the saints we see are all made of gold. When your dreams all fail, the ones we hail, the worst of all, and the bloods run stale. I wanna hide the truth, I wanna shelter you, but with the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel... that part's high. I don't know if I'll actually sing that. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. That's where my demons hide. That's where my demons hide. Yeah, he's got a high voice. So, and I think I think I was playing it on lower key than he normally has. So, man, I will not be playing that at an open mic. That got high real fast.
That's why I played Zero. That's the only song I think where he's like da 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 da.
So, some people just like stopped listening to the episode. They're like, next episode on the podcast. Mike's trying to hit high notes again. Sorry.
Come on, guys. We're not professionals here. Come on.
Let's all right, so Demons. A lot of religious language in this song. Talking about saints, the beast inside, my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. Do you have thoughts about this song?
Oh my gosh, like go back to the to that beginning there. I mean, I can hardcore relate to this, like just the again, you don't want to assign too much meaning to somebody else's song, because I mean, I can't even assign meaning to my own songs. It's like, what the heck was I thinking there? But it's like, just the line, and the saints we see are all made of gold. It's like, oh my gosh, this song is real. Like the guy is, the first line, when the days are cold and the cards all fold, like this is like broken. You're broken, and you look for the saints, you look up to the saints, and guess what? All the even broken right now is you are maybe still seeing this misconception of the saints, that they're like these people up on pedestals made of gold, that you can't relate to.
Yeah, that holiness line, is like,
oh my gosh,
it's like, you see the holiness is like, that's unattainable. That's not me. I'm broken. My cards are folded. My days are cold. But they're like way up there. Like, I'm not a church person. I'm not a holy person. Like, Yeah.
I'm never gonna get there.
Never gonna get there. Yeah.
And then his dreams, it gets even worse. His dreams have failed. You wake up and you're 38 years old and you're not a rock star like you thought you were gonna be.
Are you 38?
Wait, I'm 39.
You're 30. I was gonna say I'm 38. How do you know how old I am? But I guess we're the same age. So.
Oh my God! I just got this sense, Mike.
That's awesome. That's very
cool. I mean, the first verse is just totally relatable from the spiritual sense or the spiritual approach. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that image of the blood is run stale. Like you can, like thinking of just like you feel lethargic, but if you're again there's like some Christian language there, like we talk about being washed in the blood of Christ. Like, if the saints all seem like gold and unattainable, like the blood of Christ can seem stale to us. Just like we were talking about the cross. The cross can just seem like another symbol. It's lost its meaning. It's lost its power for us. So anyway, interesting. Like definitely some messages of disillusionment there, I think.
Wait. Go. Sorry, one more thing on that.
Yeah,
the line before that is when your dreams all fail and the ones we hail are the worst of all. And the blood runs stale. It's almost like your blood ran. Maybe the reason why your blood runs stale is because, I mean, even just to me, that line, when your dreams all fail and the ones we hail are the worst of all, that sounds like scandal.
Yeah, there's like a disillusionment with the people you looked up to.
Yeah.
I don't think we know anything about that in the Catholic Church. Do you? We've never had that happen.
No, we're perfect.
Never happened once. Never had anybody in our leadership. No, absolutely. Like I know. Like I've had some people. Well, I come from the Washington Archdiocese, so we know all about scandal. We know all about disillusionment. We know all about, the people that we hail and hold up as awesome, turning out not to be so awesome. And I've had friends close to me that have done some awful things, and I've felt betrayed by that and been hurt by the church. It's awful. It tests your faith. Some people they don't come back to church after that. They see church as a place of disillusionment where the bloods run stale.
It'll in the church it'll either make you a saint or a demon, just like the name of the song.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Man. I want to hide the truth, so it's like wanting to run away. There's nowhere we can hide. Talking about the beast inside. So it sounds like there's evil without. There's like the ones we hail, but there's also like something within. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. So it's like I can't escape my like awfulness. Why do you think he ends with "This is my kingdom come"?
Well, that sure is like, that Christian imagery. Like if you looked at their past, where they come from, and you were like, you find that this guy is like, comes from a Muslim past, you'd be like, what? But I mean, it's like that line right there is like your Christian upbringing, no matter what, like, shining forth through in your song. And I think, to me, he's talking to a girl he likes, he's talking to, he's like, a lot of the songs, like the I can't remember the other songs, but do you feel like in a lot of Imagine Dragons songs, it's like he's saying this kind of theme of like, I'm gonna, it's not that I'm not the person you think I am, like it's like this inauthentic kindness, whatever, but it's just like he comes from this brokenness. Yeah. And it's like, do you really want to, see me? Yeah. Cause I don't get too close, that word "don't get too close" is in there, but it's like
dark inside.
I'm really broken. So if you want to be with me, like you got to know this about me.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, and with the line, "My kingdom come," to me, it's like, it's this, you have all this brokenness before that line. And so I don't think he's talking about, the kingdom of God, like, in the true sense, the ecclesial sense, the beatific vision sense, the kingdom. But I think he's talking about, it's like, this is literally my kingdom, like
as opposed to God's kingdom. This is not God's kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. This is what I get. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the world around me. This is my world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when
this brokenness.
When I in the scriptures you come across that phrase, the kingdom of God. It's like Jesus says it every other verse in the Bible. It seems like he's talking about the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom. And when he's teaching the Lord's Prayer, he says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Like that's the kingdom, is when we're living heavenly lives in the here and now. Like the kingdom is at hand. It's not just far off someday. It's here when we are living God's will and we are living in rightly ordered relationships and we're treating one another as we're supposed to. And he's saying, this greed, this beast inside, this disillusionment, this is my kingdom. This is what happens when it's my will is done on earth. Like that's how I read it, is like, if it's coming from me, this is my kingdom come. This greed and this beast and this disillusionment, when the blood running stale. And if you want to love me, if you want to get to know me, like, be careful. It's dark inside. That's where my demons are. I want to talk about, you're a married man. I think letting other people into our demons is like a necessary step in intimacy. I mean, that's something I've found. And I think it's been a struggle for me as a man, because men are supposed to be, strong, and we don't need emotional support and we don't talk about our feelings. I think it was several years into my marriage before I was really able to kind of let down my guard and trust my wife enough to be like, well, look, I do have some insecurities, and even discover that I had these insecurities. Cause I don't know about you, but I just feel like as a man in our society, like we're in a lot of ways, we're not allowed to address those things. We're not allowed to have feelings. We're seen as weak if we talk about our feelings. We're seen as unmanly if we talk about our feelings. And so I know for me, it was a big step in my spirituality, a big step in my marriage, a big step in my personal development, to be able to let down those walls, to let other people see that, like, I'm not perfect. Get behind the masquerade, get behind the facade of, Mike Tenney, Catholic guy who teaches Catholic theology and went to Catholic U and, has done missionary work and pro-life work and social justice work. And, but inside, like, I'm a mess. Like I'm selfish and manipulative and sinful. Like, and I don't want people to see that. But if I'm going to let somebody love me, really, I gotta let them see that at some point. I don't. Does that connect with you at all? I feel like yeah.
This is a super honest song. Mm-hmm. Like coming from a man singing that. And he's to me, it sounds like he's telling somebody that he's getting close to this other. Like, if you really want to know me, though, I got some things to tell you.
Man. The masquerade again. I feel like a lot of their lyrics, they're rebelling against the facade, like the facade of holiness of other people, the facade against holiness in myself. Like we don't just want a pretty picture, as Jesus said, like the whitewashed tombs. You don't just want something that looks pretty and white on the outside, but on the inside is like this rotting corpse. Like it sounds like he's saying, look, if you're gonna love me, if you're gonna get to know me, we got to talk about the rotting corpse. I got to show you the rotting corpse inside.
Yeah. And there's that line, like, what is the first line of the chorus? When you feel my heat.
Yeah.
I never want to assume that I know the words, because it's like, you hear songs and then you finally read the lyrics and you're like, I was singing the completely wrong words.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, like the line, when you feel my heat, like, all right, if you're gonna feel somebody's heat, that means you're getting really close to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a very intimate line,
super intimate,
like,
yeah.
And they're super close. Look into my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
Those two things, when you feel my heat, right there in that moment, look into my eyes. We don't do well with eye contact sometimes, and especially with today's day and age, social media, you never have eye contact. I'm looking at you, Mike, but like I'm looking over there in my camera.
to look like I'm looking in your eyes, I got to look at the camera, but when I'm actually looking at your eyes, I'm looking at the screen.
Yes. And I have to imagine what you're like, how is he responding to me right now? I don't know. I'm staring at a GoPro. But yeah, that's a super, super intimate thing. And it's like, like you're going to see, if you get that close and you're going to look into his eyes in that close, intimate moment where he's not going to look away, you're not going to look away. Hey, you're going to see some things, and I got to share that with you. I got to tell you what, I got to be upfront about it. So it's a super honest and vulnerable song. Yeah.
Last thing on this song I want to talk about is the bridge is really interesting. It says, they say it's what you make. I say it's up to fate. It's woven in my soul. I need to let you go. Your eyes, they shine so bright. I want to save that light. I can't escape this now unless you show me how. So here's kind of, do you have thoughts on the bridge before I give my take?
Yeah, I mean, it's super depressing.
It is super depressing.
But it's actually terrible. Like it terribly, like the word fate. But I say it's up to fate. It's like no. Like I'm locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so locked in, and like you better go.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt you. Like, get out of here.
Because I'm ruined. I can't change. I'm gonna hurt you. So you need to leave me. Kind of.
Yeah. It's time to break up. Like, it's not you, it's me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that just a really, really dark way of saying that? But like in all seriousness, the one, like, so he says, I can't escape this now. The very, it's like the end of the phrase. We're gonna go back to the chorus. It's like terrible, like depressing bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this breakup language. You're stuck in your fate. There's no changing. But the last line there, unless you show me how.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you don't have to assign that line to your wife, your girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a lot to put on the person you love. That's a lot to expect of them.
They can help maybe, but they're not your savior. Jesus is your savior, right?
And so it's like that line. It could almost be like a prayer, like
Absolutely.
Show me how. Like that's such a beautiful ending to that dark bridge there.
I've prayed that prayer when I've felt like, man, I can't escape this. God, like I need you, God. I've reached my, like I can't do this. I need you. I like that it ends hopeful. It's almost like he changes his mind throughout the verse or the bridge, because he's saying, people tell me it's what you make of it, and I can change my situation, stuff that you can't control what happens to you, but you can control what you do with it. But he's like, it's woven in my soul. I say it's up to fate. But then I see your eyes, they shine so bright. I want to save that light. I can't escape this unless you show me how, like maybe with your help, maybe with the help of this other person, maybe with the help of God, maybe I can't escape that. It reminded me of something I had heard once. And I was like Googling, like quotes, like where did I heard this quote before? And it turns out it's from the Catechism, which is awfully convenient because we're in Pop Culture Catechism. So if you're unfamiliar with what the Catechism is, the Catechism is just a teaching tool for teaching people about the faith. Which is what we try to do on this show through pop culture, is try to learn more about God and our relationship to him and the longings of the human heart. But there's like an official like book, Catechism. And the very first paragraph in the Catechism says, God, infinitely perfect and blessed in himself, in a plan of sheer goodness, freely created man to make him share in his own blessed life. And for this reason, at every time and in every place, God draws close to man, and he calls man to seek him, to know him and to love him with all his strength. He calls together all men, scattered and divided, men and women, but it says men, scattered and divided by sin, into the unity of his family, the church. To accomplish this, when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son as Redeemer and Savior. In his son and through him, he invites men to become, in the Holy Spirit, his adopted children, and thus heirs of his blessed life. And the reason I wanted to pull this up is, so paragraph 3 right after that, it says, those who with God's help have welcomed Christ's call and freely responded to it are urged on by the love of Christ to proclaim the good news everywhere in the world. So there's been this interesting debate through all of Christianity, like, do we have, and throughout the history of philosophy, and this is in the Western tradition, the Eastern tradition, all over the world, humans have wondered, like, can we really choose? Do we really have free will? And I love what the church has to say about this is like, yes, it's God, but it's also our cooperation with God. No, we can't save ourselves, but also God will not force it on us. God invites us. He calls us. And I highlighted in here all the places where it talks about our freedom to accept God. And like, yes, it starts with God. It's his initiative. And it's only by his grace that we say yes, but it does require our cooperation. God does not force it on us. And I see that in these lyrics here where he recognizes, I can't do this on my own. I can't save myself. I can't do this on my own. But yet there's this choice to reach out. There's this choice to accept God's help or to accept help from outside myself. So it's this interesting understanding of free will that's not just fate. You're locked into it. You're going to turn to the dark side, Luke. It's your destiny, you know, but there is this free choice to accept it. Anyway, and I see him struggling with that tension that I also see in this quote from the Catechism.
Yeah. Bishop Fulton Sheen said you can know that you have free will just by the fact that somebody says thank you to you. If you were locked in to your fate, you know, and you don't have free will, why would anybody ever thank you when you do something for them? Because it implies that you didn't have to do it.
Yeah. When you walk up to the grocery store and the doors open, you don't say thank you to the doors for opening because it wasn't their choice, right? Maybe I'm not grateful enough for our robot overlords.
I'll show you how, Mike. I'll show you.
Show me how. Let's talk about It's Time. This was the first song I heard by them, and it was so different from Radioactive. Or I think it was the second song I heard by them. I didn't recognize it was them because it's so different from Radioactive.
Right.
It's a cool song. I've done this song with like youth from my school. We had like a little youth band, and we did this at some retreats and stuff.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to talk about this song. Do you want to start us off with this one?
Yeah. So like, again, I'm at that age where I'm old and like I don't care about what's cool anymore. And so I this song hooked me on Imagine Dragons. You know, this was where I started buying their album or downloading their albums or whatever. And it was because this song just hit me. It crushed me inside. Like when I was going through what I was going through at that time in my life. And then the words of the song were like illuminating, you know, what was going on in my heart, because what was going on outside my heart in the world, you know, could relate exactly to those themes in the song. Like I had just, you know, I was the youth minister in a town in Michigan, and was discerning my way out of that position, and was actually at the time applying for a job in Dodge City, Kansas. And so I was in Dodge City, Kansas, you know, this brand new town, you know, just visiting, applying for this new youth ministry job, staying with this host family, you know, so I could, you know, just get into Dodge and then get out of Dodge. Yeah. And so like, for some reason, it was like the night before the interview. And I'm in this host family's, you know, home in their guest room, and I'm listening to this song. I have no idea what I was listening to it on, or, you know, earbuds or whatever I had, you know, like, I don't even know if Apple Music was out. It probably was. No, iTunes was out. But for some reason I had this song, and I was listening to this song, and just like, it just crushed me. It just broke me. The words of this song, like specifically, I don't ever want to leave this town. You know, I think that's the either that's the pre-chorus or the chorus. But I don't ever want to leave this town. It's like when you're a youth minister, you form this relationship with the people that you're doing ministry to with. You know, whatever, you know, God is doing the ministry through you, you know, to them. But it's like you form this relationship with them, and it's like. That line, I don't ever want to leave this town, and then the next line, I don't ever want to let you down, you know, or whatever. I forget the order. Maybe I'm mixing it up, but I don't ever want to leave this town. I don't ever want to let you down. It just broke me, because it's like the kids that I was ministering to, they don't know the real reason why I'm leaving. You know, there was some dysfunction there, and they're
always going to be a little hurt no matter what the reason is.
And you can never really tell them, you know, like what you're going through, because that's just youth minister etiquette. You don't, like, you know, spill your guts to your teens, like, this is what I'm dealing with. You know, it's like your youth would just be like, I don't know what to do. So it's like, you know, I felt broken and connected with that verse, because it's like, I can't tell you what I'm going through, but you know, I love you, and I don't ever want to leave this town. I don't ever want to let you down. And then the next line, this city never sleeps at night, or whatever it is. You know, here I am in Dodge City, you know, and it's just like, for some reason, that line, you know, like I was like, I changed the words, and I'm like, Dodge City never sleeps at night. So
that's what I think
like,
of.
You know,
I think of Dodge City as it never sleeps.
oh man, it's like Las Vegas, where Imagine Dragons is filmed.
Mhm.
But it's like just all those themes of the chorus, never want to lay down, never want to leave this town because after all, the city never sleeps. But it's time to begin.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I get a little bit, whatever it is,
Mhm.
it's this new beginning, but then it culminates in the last line of the chorus. But never changing who I am. Just like guys, like just speaking of these youth, like I'll never forget you, and I'm never
Mhm.
changing who I am,
Yeah.
just because I'm leaving. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. One, like I told you, I spent 14 years as a Catholic high school theology teacher at the same school. And like, I saw like students of mine like met in my class and like got to know each other on the retreats that I ran and like got married and stuff like that. Like I had a bunch of students at my wedding. The photographer at my wedding was one of my students. Like I've maintained relationships with them. Like some of my closest friends now are former students that I've maintained relationships with. And in leaving my students was painful for me. And I knew it was going to be painful for some of them. I totally get what you're saying. Let's throw these lyrics up there because they're super relevant and good.
And now you're gonna see how I butchered them.
No, you were. I was impressed that you didn't have them in front of you because they were a little out of order, but you had them. So
yeah.
There's this tension because sometimes I got to move on. There's something I got to do, but there's these people depending on me, and I feel like there is a lesson my dad taught me at a young age. When I was in high school, I was on the wrestling team and I was a fairly decent wrestler, and I was a captain my junior year, and my senior year was going to be like my year, but for a bunch of reasons, I decided not to wrestle my senior year, and I knew it was the right decision. It was like one of the first decisions I think like I prayerfully discerned. But I remember I had to call up my coach and be like, "Your like best wrestler, captain of your team, is not going to wrestle this year." And like talking to my teammates, like that was hard. And I remember like talking to my dad about it and him saying like, sometimes quitting is the brave decision. Sometimes moving on so you can do other things. Like sometimes that's the brave decision. That has guided me so much. Like even in relationships with breakups, like sometimes you're in a relationship and, it's just time to move on. It's time to begin.
Yeah.
I get a little bit bigger, but there's part of me that changes and grows, and I'm coming into more of who I am. But there's also part of me that's still the same. I'm still never changing who I am at my core, but there is a part of me that is unfinished. I'm still a pilgrim on the journey, and I'm still growing. It's beautiful that it's time to begin, isn't it? I get a little bit bigger, and then I'll admit I'm just the same as I was. Why don't you understand? I'm never changing who I am. Yeah, I forgot how beautiful this song is. This is a really beautiful song. I love it.
That was beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. I was just figuring that out right there. So hopefully.
My corazón. My corazón.
Oh, that's great. Do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito. I just
okay.
know phrases that get me by through ministry. Like I've stood in front of the entire parish and made an announcement at the Spanish Mass, and I said in Spanish, "I'm as happy as a tapeworm." And after that, everyone liked me. So yeah,
I can do a couple Spanish worship songs, but that's about as far as I go.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Let's see. We don't have a whole lot of time left, so I want to talk about Believer. This is I don't know how to play this one. I'm not going to sing it. This one's hard to sing. This one is a little more shouty. He goes from like real low to real high. You've probably heard this one on the radio. It hits heavy, and I kind of thought Imagine Dragons had kind of like gone away, like their time had passed, and they came out with this song, and I was like, whoa, this song is epic. And something I learned when I was doing some research about this song is apparently the lead singer, main songwriter guy Dan, he like has some sort of like arthritis or he has some sort of chronic pain where like he's just in pain like all the time. And it took him a while to figure out like what was going on. He can only kind of manage it with like therapy and medication or whatever, but like he is in pain a lot of the time. And this song is all about pain and it's like the emotional pain, but there's physical pain. Have you ever known anyone who struggles with chronic pain?
No. Not off the top of my head.
I had one of my best friends in college had a chronic pain, like a joint thing. And she was just, oh my gosh, it was like such a cross. And she bears it beautifully, but it's it really is such a cross for some people who have this pain that just never goes away. And I'm like such a wimp. Like I have a little sore on the inside of my mouth right now from where I bashed my head on my 2-year-old's head. I bashed my mouth on his head, and I've got this little cut on the inside of my mouth for like the past 2 days. And it's like, that drives me crazy. And I'm like, yeah. I can't imagine how people deal with the sort of pain that and this is a beautiful meditation on this pain. Where he says, I was broken from a young age, taking my sulking to the masses. So I'm like putting this into a song for the masses, writing my poems for the few. So I'm taking my songs to the masses, but there's only a few people that are going to understand what I'm going through.
Nice.
That look at me, took to me, shook to me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from my veins, speaking my lessons from the brains, seeing the beauty through the pain. And when he gets to this part, it's like, pain! He like yells it. It's so powerful. When I listen to this song now, knowing like what this guy has gone through, I'm like, oh man. And he says, pain, you've made me a believer. Break me down, you build me up, a believer. Let the bullets fly, let them rain. My life, my love, my drive. It came from pain. That's like, I feel like you can meditate with this. This is profound stuff. Do you have thoughts on this?
I mean, dude, like, is this guy Catholic or what? That's like, I mean, that's literally our faith.
Yeah.
The cross. This life is you're not going to get out or through it without the cross. And it's a bad thing. Like pain and death is an offensive thing.
Yeah.
Dare I say, like, can we say controversial things here, Mike?
So if you're listening with kids around, just put in your earbuds for a minute. I don't know what David's going to say. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, maybe I should swear.
No, do it. Go ahead.
But pain and death. Death, the ultimate fulfillment of pain, is more offensive than even racism. Everything that we're offended by these days, and we're offended by a lot of things. The most offensive thing as human beings that we are offended or should be offended by is death. That we have these beautiful lives. That we have that we have these lives and we see beauty, experience beauty, etc. Oh, but by the way, everything just ends in death. That is literally the most offensive thing. And here his chorus, the message of his song, the core of it is this experience of death with pain. That's the foundation of making him a believer, like and what he believes in. What I don't know. We'll get to that, but
yeah, that's really interesting. The idea, because I think again, when we're talking about things from the Christian faith that are profound, but we've kind of lost sight of because they've become so cliche to us. Like the cross is one, but this idea of death as offensive, death is like a great injustice. Like we've become so accustomed to this idea that like, oh, you die and you go to heaven, you get to be with God, and there's this life after death. Like I think. We've kind of, and some of that's good. We've kind of taken the sting out of death. Even the scriptures say, "Oh, death, where is your sting?" But we should never lose sight of how amazing that is, how powerful that is. That, "Oh, death, where is your sting?" Like that's what we're going to say on Easter, in just a week or two when Easter comes up at the time of this recording. Like that proclamation that death does not have power over me. Like that is huge. The fact that our suffering, that God can take our suffering and work it for a greater good. And as you say, not that death is a good thing. It's the worst thing. Not that suffering is a good thing. It's a sign that our world is broken. But how good is our God that he can take even that worst thing, even death on a cross, even the torture in death and murder of an innocent man. He can take that and work that for the good. I feel like I talk about Romans 8 on every episode of this show, but that quote that God makes all things work for the good of those who love him according to his purpose, that it's common to say in our culture that everything happens for a reason. But I think the more Christian way of understanding it is like God makes sense of the senseless. When things have no reason, when things have no sense, God can take that. He can take these broken bones and this dust, and he can make beauty from them. It says in Genesis that God formed man out of the dust, out of the ashes, like we can be formed into the image and likeness of God. And so even out of this pain that we experience, or even chronic pain that we experience, depression that we experience, no matter what we're going through, like if we hand that over to God, if we unite that to his cross through prayer and through our community and the sacraments, God can take that and work it for a greater good. And we come out, radioactive, ready to go. Like there can be this resurrection.
Right.
So yeah. That's
the
beautiful.
other thing about pain too is and just the name of the song, the theme of the song, or whatever. It's like, well, why are you a believer? If anybody ever asked that, or you were in a situation where you got to share your faith, this is why I'm a believer, or a Catholic. Is a lot of that, or that answer is tied to something pain, something related to pain, or at least what pain is. And why I think it makes him a believer in the song, again, not reading too much into it, is like that pain is experiential.
You definitely experience it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you feel pain, you are very present to that moment, to that experience of what's going on. And so it's like, when somebody asks you, like, well, how do you personally know that Jesus is real? Why are you Catholic? And what it gets down to is that it's not like quoting from the Catechism. It's not like saying, well, we believe in the Eucharist, and I believe I'm Catholic because I, the Eucharist or whatever. No, it's like what it comes down to is every a true Catholic ends up with some kind of story that is like, well, all right, I was going through this in my life. And it's usually something, in some way related to something that's pain. Whether that's fear or whatever, the depression or whatever. And God showed up in this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he changed my life. He did this.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And in that experience, that's what makes you a believer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen that so powerfully. And working in youth ministry, I'm sure you've heard a lot of talks on retreats and stuff where teens will pour out their hearts and share these struggles they've gone through. And sometimes, we'd bring somebody on the retreat and they'd be like, why are you having these kids talk about these things that happened to them? And I said, because that's where Jesus meets us. Jesus meets us in our pain, in our yuck, in our awfulness, in our dust and our ashes. And St. Paul says we boast of our weakness, right? Because it's through our weakness where Christ is glorified. And, so I think there is such a power in our suffering when we hand it over to God, that he does make sense of the senseless. So David, I hate to say this because we're going so deep and we've only gotten to like 3 songs or 4 songs, but we're not even going to get to the new singles that came out. But I love that we've done deep dives on this. So if you were talking to someone that had never heard of Imagine Dragons, give me 3 songs you would have them listen to.
Oh my gosh.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would say Radioactive. They have a newer song from a couple of years ago called Natural, which I really like, which was on the radio. And they have another newer song from the Suicide Squad album where it's like them and Lil Wayne and a bunch of rappers. It's not clean. There's a bunch of profanity in it. So be warned of that. But anyway, I think that gives you a good breath. It's Time. I forgot what a good song It's Time was until we just looked at the lyrics. I'd probably throw It's Time in there. So I gave you 4 songs. I broke my own rules. So what would you say?
That is super hard, extremely hard to narrow down. But I'll just say personally, like I love It's Time. I also love the first album. I mean, all the albums I love, but the first album, really, and the song Amsterdam. I dig that song. It doesn't really. I don't think any song captures their sound, but that's just a good song.
Nice.
And then of course I love Zero. Like I know these are not like the best songs that like capture their sound, but I can only speak from, hey, these are songs that I dig.
Yeah. You know what we should do is you and I should put together a Spotify playlist and we can put it in the show notes. Would you do that with me?
Sure.
Cool. All right. So we'll put our favorite Imagine Dragons songs. We'll put it in a Spotify playlist. We'll put it so you can listen to. So David, I often ask my guests if they would close us in prayer, kind of reflecting on some of the things that we talked about. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah. Amen.
Awesome. So if you are at home, just maybe take a moment. If you can close your eyes or just take a deep breath. Place yourself in a quiet state of mind where we can welcome the Lord into our hearts. Take it away, David.
Lord God, we ask that you would please be with not only us in this Lent going into Easter, but we ask, God, that you would help us to. There's so many things that we talked about, but what comes to mind is transform the stuff that is in our lives, that whether it's the ash and rust, whatever, but the stuff that we see as the pain, the painfulness, the radioactiveness. We ask that you'd please help us to see that in light of the cross. May it not be something that we run away from, but just like in the words, can you show me how? In those areas of our lives that we feel overcome, that we feel completely just beaten down and broken, those demons inside, we ask that you'd give us the words in our heart that we can say, especially on Good Friday, bring it to the cross and say, can you show me how? Can you renew my mind? Like St. Paul says, the knowledge of Christ for the renewal of our minds. And just taking the name, the word out of the band, Imagine, help us to have a new vision in our mind of the world, of our lives, that is a Catholic worldview. Help us to have this imagination, this imaginative view of the world that is not related to the secular world influencing us, but that we truly have a Catholic worldview, that we stand out. We pray this, Jesus, in your name and through the intercession of Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. David, thank you so much. We went deep, man. We went real deep. Tell people where they can find you. If they want to know more about you and more about Percoustix, where should they look?
Yeah. So Percoustix.com. And Percoustix is a weird spelling or whatever, but just think percussion and acoustics put together with an X at the end of it, but just look for that. We're on social media, YouTube, the whatever, Instagram, Facebook. And just stay tuned for all of that, because we're coming out with some new things. Actually, we got a new pick guard design that is coming up, and we just got our first influencer, and we are just going forward with just trying to ruin music as we know it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you and excited to see what happens. Do you have anybody you want to shout out real quick? I want to shout out my friend Hope Hemphill, who's a big Imagine Dragons fan and helped me prepare for this episode a little bit. Anyone you want to shout out?
My mother-in-law.
Awesome. Good. Cool. So thank you for hanging with us on Pop Culture Catechism. Again, this is David McHugh, singer-songwriter and inventor of Percoustix. Check him out. I am Mike Tenney. You can find more about me at miketenney.com. You can follow me on social media at PKMikeyT. If you want to support this show, and all the shows on Awaken Catholic, you can go to awakencatholic.org/donate and become a patron, part of the Awaken Nation, by making a monthly donation, and that helps everything that happens here happen. You can share this show with anyone who is Imagine Dragons fan or just a music fan, or just it made you think of somebody who's going through some pain or some loss. Say, hey, maybe you'd like to send this to them. Share it on your social media. All that stuff helps us. Give us your likes, shares. Go to iTunes and give us a review or 5-star rating. All that stuff is super helpful. And pray for us. We pray for you. We pray for all our listeners and viewers. So thank you so much for supporting us on Awaken Catholic. We'll see you next time.